Okay, so I'm back. That was quick. But yeah, at least my thing isn't all over the place now. Barely hanging on to life, so there's always that bonus. Yeah, it just wasn't, it's like, it's this arm over here. It just wasn't really happy with life the way it was. So yeah, made it happy again. But I feel really crappy right now. And like, painting makes me happy, so we should paint. Yay. I know, and I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna sit here and I'm just gonna keep sniffling and sniffling, and I have my big giant cup of hot tea over here and the egg snatcher. But yeah, so what I have here is I have a cute little painting already taped down and ready to go, and I have my handy dandy kneaded eraser, and I'm just gonna move that to the side. If you bear with me 1 second. So what's today? Today's Monday, right? Today's Monday. So let me just go ahead and do the announcement. Right? And we'll get our little watercolor painting going. This isn't one of the beginning watercolor 101s. This is just, let's paint something and relax. Like I said, I would play music, but then there's like copyright issues, I think. I don't know, maybe I could get a bot in the room where you hear music, right? Yeah, that'll work, right? Oh, life is sucking right now. Yeah, I have no idea. So there went that idea. I'm gonna fling that on Facebook. Oh, geez. I'm pretty sure this computer hates me. Life is definitely sucking today. There we go, finally. It's finally happy. Glad I had to try and get that in there 9,000 times before it actually went. I am gonna art it up. Alright. I'm done screwing around. There we go. Alright, life is good again. Yay. Yes. Okay, so what I got, I have my beautiful Raphael Corel paintbrushes. I have a number 16 flat, number 6 flat, and these are synthetic watercolor, or the Corel division, whatever they have there. I've got a number 10 round, I got a number 6 round, I got a number 3 round. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is what happens when it's very well used. One of the reasons you don't want to like totally beat your brushes when you clean them is because even though it's very well used and it's got little hairs going in different directions there, if you dip it in the water, get your excess off, look at that, good to go. Alright, and then I have my Princeton Selects 1/2 inch mop, and I have a number 2 flat brush and a 3/0 round, and I think that should be kind of happy for now. Here, we'll throw a 3/4 mop in there, 3/4 mop in the mix. And those are the brushes I'm going to be using today. We'll get some of this water up here. Nice, pretty clean water. Don't worry, I'll fix that. I will totally take care of that. We're going to muddy that up, make it kind of gross. Alright, so I got my palette here. Got my mops. I also have this wonderful handy dandy tool. It's called a chopstick. And if you look at the end of the chopstick, you can see, right here, focus, you can see that I kind of brought it to a little bit of a point there. I used some, oops, I used some sandpaper on that. One of these dealies. This is for pencils, to sharpen your sketching pencils. But I used this on the end of that and made this not totally to a point. It's a blunt point, but you know, I wanted more of a point than what the actual chopstick had. And yes, this is a chopstick from Chinese takeout. Okay, I'm gonna bring that up there. Actually, I'll bring the paints here and bring the brushes up here. And there goes my OCD fit kicking in again, because I gotta put all my flat brushes together and all the rounds together. I'm not even gonna do size right now because I'm actually kind of hateful. And it's a good thing that you mentioned going to the store, because I got a wonderful catalog in the mail today. So this is the Blick catalog, and this is a spring 2018 catalog, and life is good. Yes, if you're asking, there are 2 different lights above me, because that is the only way I can get a happy 3,500, 4,000-ish temperature on this desk. So here's the Blick catalog, and you know, life is good. And if you look, there's have a little coupon there on the back, and they have their canvases. And so I'm just going to go right here. Whoa, look at that. Just happened to open it right here. Excuse me. So, my handy dandy roll of paper towels here. No, I don't need it to like mop anything up from me, but you know. Hello, Vindy. Heya, heya. So, what I was going to show you was, I'm just going to put this here because I always need an extra one. What I was going to show you is, as far as paper goes, now you're going to hear a couple of names, and Arches is going to be one of those names that you hear. Arches is a French watercolor paper. They have different colors. They have natural white, bright white, they have watercolor pads. They even have one, it's kind of like a yellowish tone. Excuse me. And these are going to be their prices through the end of May, so it's basically their spring catalog. Yeah, and you could see your cold press, your different sizes here. So what I would recommend if you really want to get Arches, I think the best thing to do is just go down to the art store and look at the paper. Just look at it, touch it, feel it. If you don't live near a Blick, you can email them or call them up and see if they'll send you a sample sheet, which is, it's like a little, paint swatches kind of, but only it has paper on it so you can feel the different papers. Anyway, so their pads here, we have the 9x12 pad. I would recommend the 9x12 or a 10x14. So there's cold press, rough, and hot press. I would also recommend cold press, 140 pound, okay, and that's what this is. Each pad contains 12 sheets of 140 pound, blah, 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 blah. So the list price is going to be $22.90 for the 9x12, but it's on sale for $10.31. Honestly, I prefer, I know it's like a lesser of a brand to a lot of people. It's more based, more driven towards student-ish. I prefer Strathmore for the smaller pieces, especially if I'm not doing a portrait, if I'm just like painting some leaves or some flowers or something. I prefer this Strathmore right here. Now, I've used this one on occasion. I don't remember exactly what the difference between the two is. I know this one feels a lot stiffer and this one's more raggy. Remember we talked about how watercolor papers contain rag content like cotton, and then sizing or glue. This one feels a little smoother on the raggy side, and this one feels a little stiffer on with a higher sizing side. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it's the different machinery. Who knows? I prefer that one. So you could go for the let's see, where is it? 12 sheet pads. There we go. Spiral bound on the short side, and that's actually what I use for some of the smaller products. These are 9x12s that I've been using, and they're on sale for $6.19. So for practicing and whatnot, this one right here is a really nice paper to be using. I mean, it's not too thirsty, it's not too stingy, it's pretty versatile, and it's really cost efficient. It's totally, there we go, whoops, losing focus again. Yeah, I'm getting a webcam this week. I actually talked to my husband about that earlier. They have one up the road over at Best Buy. Here we go, $6.19 for a pad of that. I mean, really. And it's a pretty durable one. Now, what you might have heard Captain Sausages and I speak of is the Fabriano paper. Fabriano Artistico. And this is the Italian paper. There's a 100% cotton one here for the Aquarello, and I prefer a 140-pound press. I believe Captain Sausages preferred the 300-pound, and the higher poundage you go in the pressing of it, the thicker the paper is and the more expensive it gets. But these traditional white blocks, which is basically, it's a pad with glue all around it. And you have, let's see, 9x12 cold press, 20 sheets, $22.78. Those were 11x14s that I had, and they were the 100%. No, I didn't have 100%, I don't think. Yeah, I did have 100%. I couldn't even tell you where it is right now. That kind of sucks. But yeah, the Fabriano paper it's quite a bit more. Honestly, hey, you know what? Right here. Go with the Strathmore. Right there. The brown one. Just go with it. Okay, also what we got in the book. The Happy Book. Yes, I am running out of breath because my nose is just not functional at all. And I totally haven't gone through this book yet. So the pages are still sticking together. I should just give it to the kids and let them break it in. Okay, so they're brushes. Here we go. Now, I hope you checked out Aaron Brothers for their open stock sales. You can totally get these Princeton Select brushes. Whoops, get over here, don't run away. These Princeton Select brushes. They're pretty good, pretty durable, synthetic, good for watercolors. You can get them at a steal at Aaron Brothers during their buy one, get two sales. And let's see. Dick Blick actually bought Utrecht Arts, so this is pretty much the same company now. I never really used the Blick or Utrecht brushes for watercolors. I did use some of them for oil, and they were worth it to buy if you're practicing a lot. They did really well. They did a lot better than some lower cost brands, I would say. Anyway, this is the watercolor tubes. These are the M Graham Artist Watercolors. This is what I use. And if you look here, you can see that, you know, basically for a tube, you're looking at between like, I think the lowest cost one was like $7 or $8. So figure $8 to $10 per tube. When you start getting with the cadmiums and the cobalts and anything that's going to use a mineral like cadmium, cobalt, or nickel, they actually really do use these in their pigments. And you're going to see this little red box here. And that is a California warning for Prop 65, whatever, can cause cancer. Basically, using it isn't going to give you cancer. But if you sit there and eat tubes of it, like, I don't know, a weirdo, then something bad will probably happen to you because you're not supposed to eat paint. But when you look at that, the natural minerals added, the hard, more expensive minerals, you look at a big price jump. So what you can do is you can research, you can look online, you can even ask people in the store, even ask an artist somewhere, go find an artist somewhere, and they will tell you that, remember I said, well, there's cadmium yellow, but you can use bismuth yellow because bismuth yellow isn't toxic and it's a little cheaper. And look at that, 916 compared to $14.50, and it's basically just about the same color. See if I have my handy dandy. Yeah, I don't think I have it handy, but my little color guide. I didn't really think I was going to use it, but so I didn't really drag it out, but you get the idea. I'll just assume you get the idea. Take me for my word. All right, so those are the M-Grams. If you're in the market for some paint, another one I would recommend is the Winsor Newton Professional. I would not recommend the Cotman watercolors. Winsor Newton has a brand called Cotman, and that is a student brand. It's a student grade. Oh, here we go. A couple of people that I know use the Holbein ones right here. Your Holbein Artist watercolors. They had some really nice pigment concentrations. However, the ones that I saw, the colors didn't come out as vibrant as I thought. Sennelier is the French artist watercolors. I've never used them. I have used their soft pastels though, their oil pastels and whatnot, and they are like butter on velvet. Oh my god, I love them. But here's the Winsor Newton Cotman sets. I wouldn't recommend those if you're going to be painting a lot. If you're a student, then that's great. They're lower cost. They do feel a little chalky. Once you're using a better professional grade, if you start using these, they feel a little rough. Yeah, and I think that's it. I never used the Daniel Smiths. Here's the Holbein Gouache, which is also a water media. So yeah, there's your Blick Spring catalog. So what I'm going to do right now, I have my extra paper towel here. And yes, it's still cold here, so I'm going to be like forever wearing long sleeves, forever in a day. And yes, my favorite color is green. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to shove that over a little bit. And I did tape this down on a wooden palette that I never use. And I don't know if you could see, I have some pencil marks in here. I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. I'm just going to tap down on those to try and pull some of that pencil up. Because I want enough on there, and I'll just gently go over there. I want enough on there that I can see it, but because the watercolors have such a transparent nature to them, I don't use them very thick, so I want to be able to not see that pencil mark very dark underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 3/4 inch mop, Princeton Selects. I'm going to give it a little swirl in the water here. Take the excess off. I'm just going to give a quick little brush over. Because I don't want the paper to buckle too much or go into shock when I start putting water and pigment like basically all over it. There's 2 sets of tape markings here. So basically I'm using a border within a border. That's basically what I'm doing right now. Yep. And you can see it's starting to lift off, starting to bubble up a little bit. That's what I want. I want it to not bubble and bulge in different spots. I want it to bubble and bulge the whole thing and then have it just kind of relax. So when I start putting that water on there and that pigment, it's not going to pool up into little areas. Because then life will suck and I'll be very unhappy. So, I don't know if you could tell. This is what I have on the paper. Oh yeah, I totally made more than one. I made several of these in case I screw up. And if I don't screw up, then I now have a series of X amount. It's just a cute little, here we're going to have some autumn and some leaves. That's what I have here. So, I'm going to get my handy dandy little eyedropper full of water. And the water that I use is actually distilled water, because we're in the Milwaukee area now, and we have a water softener and some mineralization in the water, and I really don't want it to interfere with the pigment in the paints. So I'm going to add some water to some of my colors here. We're going to add it to this olive green. I can't remember the name of it right now. We'll go with that permanent green right there. Get some more of that. Naples yellow right here. We're going to go with the, yeah, my brain is just fried right now. Yellow ochre. Get some of that orange in there. And I think we'll go with the alizarin crimson. Yeah, I think that's good for right now. That should be. Get some of this brown in here too. That's the umber. It's the cooler one, the umber. We'll get the raw one in here too, the sienna. Okay. And basically I only put about 4 drops in each one. You know, I want to get it moving and grooving there. So this is starting to dry up a little bit. Now what you can do, if it's bubbling and it's really bothering you that it's bubbling, then just go ahead and lift it up from the surface that it's on and stretch it. This paper is really good to stretch. Some people soak their paper. I used to soak my paper. But on something this small, I'm not going to, something this, there we go. Something this small and recreational, I'm not going to sit here and soak my paper for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes or however long it's going to take. Okay, so I just lifted that up. So now you see what I'm doing. I'm pulling it here. There we go. Let's get that a little wet again so I can stretch it out more. And it may seem like I'm putting like massive amounts of water on here, but this paper is going to absorb some of it, and it's actually going to stay a little damp while I'm painting on it. So give that a second, and I'm just going to smooth it out right there. That's when you say, Jenny, oh my God, Jenny, what are you doing? Watch this. This is where we start getting like cool things and happy trees going on here. Put this down. Get that going there. Drag it here. Drag it there. There. I know I'm totally not nice to this. I'm really not. Get some of that excess water off the tape. Okay, is it still bubbling? Stretch it more. There we go. Whoops. Life will be good. I don't recommend you do that a whole lot. Face is the place. Okay. Let's get down to work, huh? I'm going to take my extra paper towel and just kind of, here, get some of the dust off, just kind of block. It's still damp, we're still good. All right, I'm gonna take my number 3, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna take the number 3 brush. Well, no, maybe I'll go with the 6. Take my number 6 round brush, get that in the water there. All right, now we're gonna make magic happen. Okay. And what I'm gonna do here is, see that tip right there? I'm gonna walk it along the edge of this leaf here. Now remember I said this is gonna stay damp, but it's not gonna stay totally wet. It is damp on the inside. So I'm just gonna lay down some water. Now there's not puddles here. There's definitely not puddles. Just gonna lay down some water here on the edge of this leaf. I'm gonna drag it in. So let's say, look, I'm getting the excess off, so it's not like insanely damp. And remember, it's okay to make, you know, happy little accidents, right? That's what the Afro man said. Happy little accidents. There's no mistakes, only happy little accidents. Okay. See that? Now remember I told you that the paint is only going to go where the water is. So I'm going to bring this into this yellow. I'm going to test that out there. Add a little bit of water to it. Right? And then, I don't know, my leaves around here tend to yellow on the edges first. They start off as green, and then as time goes by, they start to yellow on the edges there. Okay, and we're just going to drop it there and let it bleed and bloom through. And follow the water that we just laid down. See that? My daughter wants to make YouTube videos about games. And all I could do is sit there and think, why do you guys watch so many videos of games when you have them and you could just play them? Just a thought. So let's say we have, I'm going to switch to this number 3 round, because if you look at this leaf is only about 2.5 inches tall. So I'm going to get some water on that one, get that a little damp, and I'm going to go for this yellow ochre here to add a little of a gold. little gold brown in there. See that? And just gonna bring this through and I'm letting it bleed into itself. Letting it bleed right into that color. And I'm not adding like a whole lot, but this part here is wet. Remember, we took the brush, we got a little bit of water on it and just went around the outline. I need some of that giant cup of tea. My hot tea. Here we go. My Ashley got this for me. Super mom. Get a little bit more. And you know, leaves are, there really isn't a whole lot of pattern going on here so far as, and if you see some of it start drying out, I have no water on there. As far as, you know, what's going to turn first, it's basically what gets dry first. And like people, you know, you can never really tell what part's going to get dry first. And you start dehydrating. And that's basically why leaves change colors. They're dehydrating. Maybe we'll go for this permanent green here. Just get a little bit of that. And drag that over here. See that? And just drop that right in there. It's okay. Just drop it in there. Maybe that's what color the leaf was in the beginning, right? Most leaves start out as green. And maybe this part here, where the bigger veins are trying to hold on for that last little, you know, that last hurrah in there. What do you think? Yes, actual content. Thanks a lot. Let's go for some of this olive green. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was hooker green. I know. Don't even go there. We'll just drop some of that in there. And grab a little more of that. Hey, look at that. I'll just mute that bright permanent green a little bit. Grab a little more. How about we bring that down here, down the stem. I know. Oh my God, Jenny, you didn't wet the stem. I know I didn't wet the stem. I mean, you know, I wet it before with the mop, but yeah, look at that. So now here's the most important part. You take said chopstick, not too hard, and I'm just going to hope I can still see it and just drag it. I'm not even pushing down, I'm just letting it kind of ride on the paper there. And I'm following those lines that were on the paper before. See that? Now, this doesn't look like much, but trust me, life is about to get awesome. Because art, you know, art is, it's really good therapy for a lot of things. Like, especially if you're feeling like crap and, you know, you're getting weird weather alerts because some blizzard that just like beat half the country is heading to where you are now. And you don't want to get too veiny. But you see what happens? I'm going to show you what happened. You can go ahead and wipe that off. Drag this one up a little more. There we go. I'm going to show you what happened. Like magic happened. Oh, look at that. I'll even add some right here. And if you want, go from dark to light and you get that, you get some darker ones there. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now you have veins in your leaf. Pretty cool, huh? And look, I'm not even pushing down, but because there's pigment and moisture on this paper, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag this down here, and so it'll add a little depth to it. Ta-da! Look at that, we made magic happen. Let me get the excess paint off there. Why, thank you, Haradria, my lone student. My lone student. I feel the love. So now that we're going to call that one good. See, I told you it was going to be a quick little painting. So now I'm going to go. I really need some Sudafed or something. This is like hateful amounts of congestion. I'm going to get some more water. Get the excess off. It's all good. And yes, green is my favorite color. And again, I'm just gonna, that tip, just the tip, run that tip along the edge of the pencil marks here. Okay? Just like that. That's why you have that tip on those round brushes, to get in those little corners. So you really can say it's, you know, just the tip. These were actual leaves. These were actual leaves that I went out and picked up and basically drew the outlines of them and sat there and stared at the veins and, you know, improvised on that a little. Uh-oh, I hear footsteps. I think I've been found. And it's okay if you go over the edge a little. Remember? Happy accidents. Honestly, I have to tell you, I'm wearing a green shirt and like red pajama pants because life is just hateful today. I took my daughter to the bus stop this morning, and on the way there, I'm just like, oh, hell no. And hey, guess what? I put a little too much water on the stem there. So I'm going to bring this edge over here and push down and suck that water right up. Whoa, dancing brush. And then I could go ahead and bring that water down to where it was supposed to be. So what if for this one we started out with that yellow ochre? And yes, that's actually the name of this color, yellow ochre. And that's what it's going to look like. What if we started out with that yellow ochre on some of the edges there? Look at that bloom. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Right? And then we'll get some over here, just the tip. I know there's a really bad adult joke in there. Just the tip. Okay. And then post a pic in Discord tomorrow. You know what? I will totally like zoom in and post a pic to Discord tomorrow. So maybe that yellow, let's get some of this sienna here. That's a pretty strong sienna. So we'll add a little bit of water, thin it out, just to make it a little lighter, not as potent. And what if we just kind of drop that in there? I'm going to stick my big fat head in the way. Yep, there we go. Right there. Sometimes I have to double check. Make sure there's pencil there. Get some more of that sienna and bring it over here. You see how it just blooms? Blooms is when, like, you could see little fingers of it stretching outwards. If that makes any sense. Just a little bit more. Drop that right in here. Right on that vein. See that? So now, let's go for this, I really want to keep calling this Hooker's Green, because my brain says it's Hooker's Green. I'm pretty sure there's another name for it. Let's bring that right here in the center, because, you know, like this one, you know, that center part near the stem is normally where the water, the moisture in the leaf stays the longest. Now let's go for this alizarin crimson. Now remember, that is a pretty potent red, so I'm gonna get a little more water on that, kind of dull it down a little bit. Less pigment, more water means less vibrant, less strong, weaker. And look at that, even dulled down. Look how strong that crimson gets. I'm just tapping. I'm not even, like, you know, there's really no strokes here. I'm basically just depositing paint and letting it do whatever it's going to do on this surface. Now remember I told you a dry brush sucks up paint? Watch this. So I've dried that on this paper towel over here, because I don't want a hard line over there. but I will drag this one out a little bit more because I want it further out. See that? Now I'm going to go back to this green, this Hooker's green, or I really am going to have to find the name of that. It's driving me insane now. And I'll go ahead and add that to the stem here. And what if this one came out a little more? I mean, that's the beauty of it. You can just make changes at the last minute. I wanted that to come out over there more. Let's soak up some more of this paint over here so I don't get that hard edge. See that? And then we're going to take our handy dandy chopstick, real professional tool here. Watch. See that? And remember, you're not pushing down a lot, and I'm actually going to go from dark to light. Okay? You're not even pushing down a lot. I'm just dragging it over the top. Look at that. Now, honestly, I don't want these leaves to be too veiny because then it starts getting all like hateful. It starts taking away from the effect, so there we go. And yes, I'm left-handed because left-handed people are awesome. I totally said it. I don't care. Don't hate. We can't all be perfect, right? And there's those veins. Get a little in the stem here. There's my central heat. Oh, look. Let's add a couple up here so it doesn't look too lonely up there. Right? Yeah. Adar. All right, we got 2 more leaves and some lettering to go. Right? Right. And here's my number 3. Synthetic. And I'm going to go for that number 6 again. Here it is. Get some water on there and just kind of blot it off. And just kind of get it up there in the corners. Ta-da! When I'm done, I'll show you one of the portraits. One of my wonderful, oh, thank you. One of my wonderful peeps said, how come we don't see the portraits? I'll show you one of the portraits. I'll dig over there and drag one out. I like doing portraits of the kids the most because and it's not even, oh, just my kids. No, it's actually all kids, and I'm not like one of those people like, oh my gosh, I should have 20 babies because I just love kids. No, actually, children don't have those same filters that adults do. So when you look at a child and they have like an emotional expression on their face, it's a pretty legit, honest expression. There's no filtering there at all. And that's actually what I like about painting the kids' portraits. Is if you could catch them off guard with a picture, you can get that raw emotion in their expression. I mean, people, adults are just, they just mask and cover up so much. It's, you know, kids are, they're pretty genuine. They haven't learned modesty and what's acceptable and not socially acceptable yet, and you know, and that's the beauty of being a kid right there, is you don't have to worry about what's socially acceptable or not, because, you know, hey, have fun. I'll just leave that right there. It's nice and clean anyway. Okay, so maybe this one didn't dry up as much as the other ones have yet. So let's go for this this permanent green here. And I know it's kind of like a neon color almost sometimes, but it's not. It actually, it just looks that way on the camera. Just drop that in the corner and just kind of direct it to spread this way. I'll grab some more of that. Now remember, for those of you, my lone student, last lesson I said if you ever want to bring the vibrancy of a color down, when we were doing that mixing exercise that you weren't supposed to know was a mixing exercise, so I didn't tell you it was a mixing exercise till we were done, you add the complementary color to that and it'll help calm the color down. So the complement to green is, do we remember? Do we remember what the complement to green is? Remember this thing? Red? So if I want to mute this green, I would probably add a little bit of red to it. And this is actually a warm green, not a cool green. See how over here I added the crimson and it gave you that little muddy effect in there where the green and the red were mixing? Yeah, that's what happens when you add cool and warm together. They get a little muddy. And I wanted that muddy color there. I did. That's why I picked the alizarin instead of the Naphthol red. I'll just say, what if on this leaf it was actually the ends that stayed hydrated longer? And I'm totally gonna pull that up so I get a stronger, a deeper green. A richer green. There we go. And then I'm gonna come over here to this yellow. Just kind of drop that in there. Let it do its thing. Hear that? Dap, 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 dap. It's not just like some kind of stupid dance move now. Dap, 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 dap. Let this blend in a little bit. Blend them together a little. So, I'm going to bring the big guns out again with this alizarin crimson. Oops, move that over so you can see it. And just kind of like, bam! We'll emerald this thing. Bam! Grab some more of that. Just let it go where it's gonna go. You don't have to predict every direction and path it's gonna take. Maybe this side stayed more hydrated because it was shadier. There we go. We'll let this red take over. See what happens when you add that cool red to that warm green. You're getting like a muddy green, and red make brown to begin with, but you're getting like a muddy version of it, a bogged down version of it. Yeah, just drop some red in there, drop some more red in there. Just basically feathering it out. I'm going to get a little bit of moisture on my brush and, you know, just give it a blot or two. And I'm going to feather this in so it's not so, you know, it's not so in your face. Alright, you ready to make some more magic happen? With our handy dandy chopstick. It's professional tools here. Professional tools. You couldn't find a better place to get these tools at. Right there. Chinese takeout. And note, that actually is the shape of the leaf right there. We'll go with it. Here, I'll even turn it sideways a little because, like I said, I'm left-handed. Don't hate. And not pushing down a lot, just dragging it across. You see what happens? Just drag it across. You can see some of the red running to the edge. Hey, just tilt it the other way and let it disperse back in. It's all good. And then we'll let it, here, I'll blow on it and give it some help getting back there. Get back there. See? Well, focus. Now we've made magic. Yay. Try not to go over these more than once, because when it dries, you will definitely see double lines. I don't know about you, but that kind of bothers me. I'll show you a prime example of not seeing your original line and then trying to go over it to make it darker. Do you see it? There we go. Right there. Another one here. These don't connect right. See that? I'm telling you. I can point out 20 different things I can't stand about my own stuff. Because, you know, OCD is a thing. Okay, so there. Uber Ultra Special tools there. Whoops. I'm gonna have to get some carpet down here. I have carpet down here, but not under this desk. So we're gonna finish this last one right here. I'm gonna go back for my number 6 round brush. And I know, Jenny, you brought all these other brushes out. Well, because I didn't know if I was gonna need them or not, so. Oh no, you're still at work. Well, drive safe. And if I'm not on when you get back, then just rewatch it. I save all the streams for, I think it's 2 weeks. So I'm going to bring this down here and follow along that edge again. Let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. I'm just following along the edge. Now this is still kind of damp. It feels dry to the touch, but if you hold your finger there, it's kind of damp. Get a little more water there. There we go. See? Get that tip right up on that edge there. You know, the funny thing is, I started off wanting to be like the best cartoonist in the world ever, ever, ever. And when I got to high school, Jim Lee was my idol. I was a total X-Men nerd, and Jim Lee was my idol, man. And, you know, I moved into photography, and I found like this passion there. And I know it seems like, oh, it's photography, there's nothing special about, you hold up a camera and take a picture. Actually, it takes a lot of thought to get a good picture. Any moron can just zap a selfie or whatever, but it takes some thought to get a good one. And then, you know, I was photo all the way. Always wanted to go to college, finally went to college later in life. Photo all the way, and then just out of nowhere, I took a painting course and fell in love with it. It's just so relaxing. I really enjoy it. Let's go ahead and hit up that number 3 round again. Some moisture on there, and you know what, let's go with another excuse me, another yellow tipped leaf here, but instead of we'll get a pretty strong yellow on that one instead of muting it down. We'll just fill that brush full of some color. We'll start at the top edge here. And you know what? I don't care if you're like a botanist or horticulturist and you're going to say, oh, but leaves don't turn that way. I don't care. Looks pretty. And it makes me happy. So, you know, when you're painting, make stuff that makes you happy. That's what's important, right? I mean, you're not hurting anybody. I don't think the leaves are going to be too upset. Like, you know, I can honestly tell you, if you really want to know, here's some of the leaves. Do you look upset? No, he looks kind of brittle. So, woo, missed the chair there. Let's get some water on there. And what if we went with this? Let's get some of that yellow ochre in there so we can get a nice little gold going. What do you think? Some yellow ochre in there. It's a little strong, so I'm going to add some more water to that. Alright. Get a little more, drop some more in there. Feather that in there a little bit. Clean off that brush. And let's, you know what, we haven't had a visit from this orange here. So, here we go. Let's get a visit from this orange in here. Mute it down a little more. Let's just kind of drop that right in there. Right? Drop, 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 drop. So now, the way this came out, there's a line there. So I'm going to, between the yellow ochre and the, is that Hansa yellow? I don't know. I'll look up the name. I think it's bismuth yellow. But, so I'm going to get the pigment off my brush. And I'm going to come in here and just kind of feather that in very lightly to get rid of that definitive line. Because then life is going to be really awkward with a big giant color line on my leaf. So I'm going to blot this brush, and I have color build up here on the edge. And with this thirsty brush, I'm just going to run the tip right over the edge of the tape there and just absorb some of that paint. See that? Clean it off, blot, blot. And I'm going to come here where we have another definitive line, and I'm just going to feather that with the tip of the brush. See that? Just feather it in there. Very gently. Go over it and smooth it out. Soften it up. Okay. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to pick up some of this sienna. And I'm going to drop that right in here. In between that orange and that yellow ochre. This can be the oddball out leaf on the end. Pick up some more of that sienna. And then use the tip to just feather that out a little. Because you want changes, and you can have dramatic changes, but you don't want artificially dramatic changes. You want to try and keep it, you know, copacetic. And again, you can see this brush is just drinking up that color. I love these brushes. If you ever get a salesperson and you start asking them about brushes and they say, oh, well, the best brush you have to get is a Kolinsky Sable brush, they're looking to sell you items that you don't need. I'm going to tell you, a Sable brush is a beautiful brush, but you don't need to spend $100 on a brush this size to feel special about yourself. They just want to make a sale. Kolinsky Sable brushes come from Kolinsky Sables, or sables that belong to the weasel family. They have really soft, gorgeous fur. Yeah, they kind of on the little sables when they harvest the fur. They're supposed to come from the, I think it's Ukraine region. But there was a moratorium going in for this Hooker's green right here. Moratorium on sable brushes for a while there because they were sneaking them in from sable farms in China, and there was this whole, oh, but they weren't euthanized properly, and it was cruelty to animals. And not saying that I hate animals. I mean, I really like animals, and that's pretty strong right there. So I'm gonna get that color out of the brush and come back in with just a wet brush and just kind of spread that out there. Do I think they should just be, you know, dragged out of their little cages or whatever and brought over to the block and just kind of, nah, not really. If they are going to do the deed, they probably should do it humanely. I mean, you know, if I was being harvested for my fur and you know, I kind of had to bite it so people could chop my hair off, I'd prefer to have it done humanely. You know, just saying. But, yeah, there was some shady things going on there, so the sable brushes like went through the roof for a while there, and you couldn't find any, and they were back ordered like nobody's business. And I believe they're coming back in legally again because there were problems with the certificates, and it was just some down and dirty stuff going on there. But really, you know what? They're beautiful. They're wonderful. You don't need them to paint with. If you paint with a synthetic brush or even a squirrel brush, it'll be okay. You'll live. Again, I'm going to come over here with this damp brush and just kind of have it drink up any excess pigment. So now we're going to get our handy dandy chopstick, sharpened chopstick, and I'm going to turn this upside down because left-handed people rock. And I'm going to go from dark to light, not too much pressure, and just dragging along. I went from light to dark on that one. That's okay. Nobody's gonna, you know, lose their mind about it. And you know what? If anybody's watching and they really are going to lose their mind because I went from light to dark, you have bigger problems. Oh, I totally went there. See that? And the paper is actually still soft with moisture, so you don't really need, maybe that one went across. You don't really need to push down hard. For reals. Like, you know, truth, yo. Hey, look what I forgot. Don't tell anyone. I totally forgot it. I know some people, some wonderful people that I met through Patreon, and they can paint the hell out of some stuff. Just saying. And every time I think about, you know, getting detailed in there, I think of some of the paintings that I've seen them do. Like with watercolors. You know, one of them is Jill Griffin, and she is across the pond, and she does these trees and these fish. Oh my goodness, these fish. I love those fish. Mackerels and whatnot. And they're just so shimmery and pretty and just so fluid. And the other one is Kelly Eddington. You could find her on YouTube. She does some amazing watercolors. I mean, they're just so rich and vibrant and just wow. And I think she was in Splash a bunch of times. And they're just so, they're really nice. Like anytime I've asked questions or made comments on their stuff, they're really nice people. So there we go. Those are our leaves. So I'm gonna grab a drink of some of my tea here while this dries out a little bit, and I think we're basically done with our handy dandy chopstick. Right? Yeah. So next, what we're gonna do after I drink this for like 30 seconds and catch up with hydration. So we're gonna work on the lettering here. Oh, you could totally hear me guzzling that tea. So, if you can see the lettering, yay, Catholic school penmanship. To do this lettering, I'm actually going to turn it upside down because I don't want to go over top of the leaves. And left-handers are awesome. See how that works? What are you going to do about it? Okay, so we're going to use our number 3 and our 3/0 for this, I believe. Yeah, number 3 and our 3/0. And where'd that number 3 go? Right there. Number 3 and 3/0 round. Ta-da! So now, now I get to make decisions about. I'm just going to add a little bit of feathering. I'm looking through as we go And I want to make sure there's no harsh lines here. You know, like somebody took a Crayola crayon and just kind of scribbled in there. I want to make sure we don't get that. I want this to be as soft as possible without being overboard. Does that make sense? Sure it does. You know, when I first started streaming on Twitch, I don't know if you noticed, but the game streams that I had going were like, they were like silent films, silent black and white films, kind of. And I was reading this article where, I think it was in the Twitch help section, where they were like, one of the hardest things you'll have to do is learn to talk to yourself. And every now and then I totally run out of things to say to myself. Okay, we're going to take like a 60-second break or so. And I'm going to check on something over here. While that dries off a little bit. Okay. All right. I'm back again. All right. So we're going to take that number 3 brush, and we're going to use the same colors. I really, now that I think of it, excuse me. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, this is going to drive me insane. So, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, these are drawers that you hear going. I'm going to consult. I'm going to consult with the color chart. Haha, it is Hooker's green. I knew it. I knew it. So yeah, the colors I'm using are Hooker's green, Naples yellow, which I don't think we've really touched on that one much. Yep. Burnt sienna. And the yellow. It is bismuth yellow. And that's the cadmium yellow equivalent right there. So I'm using the bismuth yellow. the Azo Orange, the Permanent Green Pale, right here, the Hooker's Green, the Burnt Sienna. Wait, was it Burnt Sienna? Yes, Burnt Sienna. And I don't see the Yellow Ochre here, but that is Yellow Ochre. Yeah, that is the Yellow Ochre. Oh, there it is. Yellow Ochre. And then there's the Alizarin Crimson, Permanent Alizarin Crimson. And those are the colors I'm using today. Alright, so let's get down to business. Let's finish off this lettering. Let's get this done because it's like 10 o'clock. So I'm going to bring this number 3 brush in. Going to get it a little wet. I'm going to start from this end here. And I'm going to add some of that moisture there. So now I'm going to, I think what we should do is, let's go for this alizarin crimson. So we're just going to get a little bit of that alizarin crimson there. And we're just going to drop that in there. Actually, I'm going to switch to the 3/0. Get that smaller one in there. We'll get some of that alizarin crimson in there. And just going to spread that around. Try and stay in the lines because it is lettering. There we go. Ta-da. Get that a little thicker. Right there. See that? And I'm going to try and follow that line right there. Darken this up a little. And right on here, I know I didn't wet that one ahead of time, that's okay. It's lettering, it's not going to be a giant catastrophic end of the world here. Watercolors can be very unforgiving. They can also be very forgiving. Hindsight being 20/20, I'm adding it in now. Go ahead and get some more of that alizarin crimson on there. Not a whole lot of water on that one. I mean on the brush. More pigment than water going on there. I'm trying to do this very carefully so I don't jack the whole thing up, because I kind of like how some of these leaves came out. Okay, so we have an N. We have an N. So I'm going to get some more water on here. Oops. Get some more water on there. I keep forgetting this brush is so tiny. So I don't know if you could see it, but there's some wild hairs there. I will tell you afterwards how to take care of those. Just going to add a little bit of moisture there, and I'm going to go for that alizarin crimson again. I'm just going to drop that in there. And hope I don't screw up, because that is a potent color to screw up with. I know I said there's no mistakes in the memory of Bob Ross. There's no mistakes, just happy accidents. But yeah, I don't think there's any happy accidenting that one out of the ballpark there. So I'm very carefully follow this line here to there. I'm trying not to get these wild hairs in the way. Okay. Thicken that up just a little bit. Here. So we have part of an M. Okay. I'm gonna have to show you how to take care of that now. So, because it is getting in the way. My handy dandy case here. I have like an array of razor blades. This is my X-Acto box. So, here's how you take care of that. You find out where they are first. And they're being a little secretive now, I guess, because they know I got the razor blade out. Or they decided to act right. Ah, nope, there they are. Okay, so what you do is very carefully get in between the brush and the, you know, unruly hairs there. See that? There they are. And just kind of bend them down a little bit. I mean, they're already coming off. Bend them down a little bit. I don't know if you could see that. Bend them down a little bit. See that? And basically just cut them off. And some people were like, no, you have to shave them into the bristle. Yeah, you know what? When they're coming off that far, there's no shaving them into the rest of the bristles. This is beyond that. This is, you know, waxing eyebrow levels of, plucking eyebrow levels of growth here, of unruliness. There we go. See, and life is good again. Put that away. Get some water on that. Look at that. Life is happy again. Oh yeah. So, back where we were. I'm going to bring this back up close again. And I'm going to bring this water over here. All right. Back where we were. I'm going to bring some water in here. Oh, I missed a hair. So, back where we were. I'm gonna bring some water in here. There we go. So from the alizarin crimson, where should we take it from there? What if we brought some of the alizarin here? Right? And we're gonna bring this, whoop, another wild hair. I'm gonna bring this up this way. Into there. Now what if that alizarin crimson went into the sienna? What do you think? You think that would work? Yeah, let's bring it into sienna. And let's bring some more of that moisture here. This is such a tiny little brush. Oh, who is that? No, those aren't flowers. They're leaves. And good evening, Mr. Tackle. There we go. I bet they don't look like happy little trees either. I'm gonna grab some more of this sienna. And just bring that over. Adar. Awesomeness. Right? It's totally upside down. You've never seen a tree and you're blind. Well, here, trees look like this. There we go. That's a tree right there for you Bay Area Californians. Okay, so let's get a little more of that water there. And I keep blotting it when I shouldn't, because this 3/0 is It's a little brush. It's not as tiny as, trust me, I got some tiny brushes, but some of that moisture in there. And we're gonna go back for the sienna. And we're gonna bring that sienna down here. Oh, there's bring that sienna here. And what if that sienna changed right there, and it got lighter into that orange? If that happened, what do you think? I want to put some more of that sienna on the bottom here. So they blend a little more and get a better transition in there. Okay. What do you think? So let's move on with the orange now. And I'm going to bring some of that moisture here. And just kind of drop that orange in there. See, it's so relaxing. I find painting to be so relaxing sometimes. True story. Right? Right. And like that. This orange right here. All right? So let's get some more of that moisture in there. And bring it here. from orange, we should probably go towards that golden yellow color, that bismuth yellow. And if you put a little too much moisture there, just bring a dry brush in there, soak some of it up. You know what? Let's go with a little bit of this yellow ochre. Get that goldish color going in there. Right? There we go. Is my husband at the top of the stairs listening?
No, I would go to the
Because yes, I'm still painting, and yes, you can come look.
I was watching a little bit earlier.
I'm almost finished with the lettering. Oh look, Haradria made it back home. Yay! Working late. Yeah, so there's that yellow ochre. Yeah, my arm gets a little tired holding that up. Totally must get webcam. Right now I'm using my phone. But on the bright side, now you guys know that the Twitch app for Android really does work to broadcast. It's a little tricky, but when you open the Twitch app on your Android device, it's a little tricky to find the broadcast button. Go to Pulse, and then you'll see the little camera up at the top where it says, hey, do you want to post something? And that'll make life happy. Okay. Let's get a little more moisture here. And I think now we'll go for that that bismuth yellow right in there. And we'll even bring some of that yellow ochre to the bottom there. We'll blend that in. Make a nice transition with that. Should totally thank the nuns. Thank the nuns for encouraging me to write like a young lady and not a heathen. Although they did tell me that the left hand was the devil's hand. But who's writing with their left hand now? Through almost all of Catholic school, I did go to Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade. And up until about the 6th grade, the 5th or 6th grade, I did write with my right hand most of the time. Around the 6th and 7th grade, I started writing with my left hand more because I was actually always left-handed, but, you know, that left hand is the devil's hand. Some teachers were really hell-bent on that. Some of them weren't. My 4th grade teacher was, she was pretty, you know, hateful about that left hand. My 5th grade teacher, sometimes she was, sometimes she wasn't. I think after a while she just gave up because she knew I was left-handed, and you know, I wrote so much better with my left hand than my right hand. But yeah, by like 7th grade, I was totally left-handed in school. I mean, you know, they can only chastise you and threaten beatings and smack that hand so many times before it's just useless. All right, so let's bring some moisture here. And as you can see, we're almost finished with the lettering. And we're about 90%, 95% done with this as a whole. And what if we brought some of that permanent green light into there? Right? The leaves are totally dry now. I probably should have used the flat brush for this, but that's okay. Right? That's okay. It'll be good. And what I'm doing here is I'm basically chipping away at little subtle changes here. So let's bring a little more moisture in here. And let's bring some of that, permanent green back in there. So quiet. During the day, it's like never this quiet. Because, kids, yo. I mean, I once told them, once upon a time, oh, I want to say like 2 weeks ago, something about if the zombie apocalypse was a thing and our survival depended on you guys being quiet, we'd so be goners. Like, truth. Okay. Oh, look how pretty. I'm going to bring some moisture here. And now, I'm going to grab this Hooker's Green. Just going to drop that in there. Now do you see what we're doing here? This way. This way, stupid. This way. You have to be quiet for this because, you know, screw-ups are a thing. Aww. You are so very sweet with your compliments, but tell you what, we're gonna get you painting, girl, and you're gonna be knocking it out of the ballpark, like legit. My daughter asked that tonight. She said, "What does this say, L-E-G-I-T?" It's like leg. And my husband's like, it says legit. And she's like, oh, hashtag legit. And all I could think of was, oh, look at that. 7 years old and already speaking in social media speak. Alright, let's get some of this this permanent green light again. Right, and we come up here, come down here, bring this around, or something like that. Oh, there we go. Bring this around to here. For some reason I have like that end tune to Mario when you get to like that castle part going through my head. Okay. Let me move this back out of the way. Yeah, there we go. Autumn. Autumn, yo. What do we need here? What do we need here? We need something else in there. What do you think? Is it a thing? Okay, so I'm gonna go for this number 6 round. I'm gonna get some moisture on there. I'm gonna start in this corner here, just kind of catty corner that. Okay, and I'm gonna come to this one here, kind of round off a catty corner on that one too. Kind of ran out of moisture. We are 98% done. I'm going to grab a little bit more moisture and I'm going to come over here to this wonderful color right here. This is a, what is this? I believe that's cerulean blue. I'm going to bring it over here. See that? Gonna get a pretty decently damp brush. I'm gonna add some water to that cerulean on the palette there right here. And then I'm just gonna kind of drop this in here a little bit. And grab some more. Kind of drop that in here too. Clean that off. It's still damp. I'm going to get a little bit more water. Stretch this out a little more. And bring it into this blue. And I know, oh, it's so light. True, but it breaks up the monotony of that empty space. And I'm going to grab some more here and drag that right into the, oh, right-handed, right into that cerulean. Okay, maybe grab a little bit more, drop it in there. Drop some more in there. Whoops. See? Kind of want. This one seems to be a little lighter than the other one. So I'm trying to even them out. Worst comes to worst, I'll start taking more off the other side. we go. Now that empty space isn't so weird. I'm just very gently. Okay. So we have that empty space covered. I'm going to bring just a little bit of moisture down here. Get just a tad of that in there. See that? Blot that off a little. Just kind of blend that into the oblivion of white. Just feathering it in. Get the color out of my brush. Get a little more moisture in there. Just kind of blend this into the white, so that you know it's there, but it's not reaching out and slapping you, kind of like some of those corners up there are. You know what I mean? There we go. I think I'm going to call this one done. Let me just, there we go. My handy dandy paper towel. There we go. Hey, look at that. And then just look at it as it dries and make little changes here and there. This one's a little hard. Soften up that edge. You know, there we go. It's all good. Right? Right. True story, yo. And when that dries out, then you could start getting a little bit more creative with it. Is that how it works? I'm going to show you something else real quick. What do we think? I think gold. So this is iridescent gold from a company called Golden. This is actually an acrylic paint. And one of the things I wanted to show you, now that we're finished with this basically, is Princeton Brush Company makes teeny tiny little monogram brushes. Here we go. So I have a 12-aught and a 20-aught. And remember, I don't even think you could see these. I don't think it'll focus right because they're so tiny. But I'm going to use the 20-aught. I'm going to open that tube. Straight from the tube. Look at that. You ready? I gotta do my Bob Ross thing. Here's my J. Gotta get more paint because this brush is basically 6 hairs. Right? Right. Here's my J, E, N, Y. There's my Jenny. We're going to put a 1 and an 8. You got to sign your stuff, you know. Right? Ta-da! All done. All right. And now I'm going to let this bad boy dry. Oh, and by the way, when you're using acrylics to do things like sign your name and everything, rinse them out with water. As long as you rinse them out with water and don't beat the brush. Look at that, how thin that is. It's like literally, well, maybe it's 8 hairs, but still. So I'm going to take the outer tape off because this is pretty much dry. I'm not going to do it too fast. I want to do it slow in case it catches. Unlike last time. You know, when I said don't take the tape off while it's wet and then proceeded to take the tape off only to show you it was going to rip. But I am going to take the outer tape off. The inner tape I think is still pretty moist. And look, the corner came off, but I don't think that's because it was wet. I think that was just a hateful corner. That ripping is not the paper, it's the masking tape on the side of the palette here. This is actually an oil palette that, and I don't use wooden palettes for my oil paints. I like plastic or plexiglass, or even glass works too. I don't like wood because it absorbs the oil, and I don't really want to be bothered with cleaning it over and over and over and over, and the oil never comes out, and then the wood gets all like dry and splintery and hateful. And Okay, here we go. I'm probably going to go up and go back and touch up some of the letters where it's a little wobbly, but there it is. Now, when it dries, it should be flat. And if it's just a little bit flat, I'll put a book on it, or, you know, like Erica said, just take an iron. Don't do it on the top. Actually, get some tracing paper or tissue paper, like for a present or something. Put it down, flip it over, and then iron the back. And you don't want to iron the back with steam. Don't iron it with steam. This stuff's made with like cotton in it. So somewhere's around a number 3 or 4 setting should be okay. No steam, no moisture, or else it'll like totally jack up your painting. And there we go. So I want to thank you for joining me. Wednesday night we're going to do another basic watercolor 101. If you can't make it on time, then please feel free to jump on in there when you do get home. I know you, my lone student said you were working late lately or something to that effect. So yeah, basic watercolor 101 on Wednesday at 8 Central. And then on Mondays at about 8 o'clock Central, we're going to paint a picture. So thank you for joining me. Everyone have a good night. Be safe. Keep warm, because I know it's snowing here. And be good to each other. Always be good to each other. Everyone should be good to each other. Have a good night. Thanks for joining me. Remember, throw a follow or share some clips if you enjoyed what you saw tonight.